Unusual laws that still exist in various countries. In Singapore, it's illegal to chew gum except for therapeutic purposes. In Denmark, it's against the law to start your car while someone is underneath it. In Japan, it's illegal to be overweight for adults aged 40 to 74. In Switzerland, it's illegal to flush the toilet after 10 p.m. if you live in an apartment. In Thailand, it's illegal to step on any currency, as it bears the image of the king. In Canada, it's illegal to pay for an item costing more than $10 with only coins. In England, it's technically illegal to die in the Houses of Parliament. In Australia, it's illegal to wear hot pink pants after midday on a Sunday. In France, it's illegal to name a pig Napoleon. These laws may seem odd, and some are rarely enforced. However, they remain on the books in their respective countries. Singapore's gum ban. Singapore's ban on chewing gum is perhaps one of the most well-known unusual laws in the world. The ban was implemented in 1992 under the leadership of Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew. The primary motivation behind this law was to maintain cleanliness in the city-state, as discarded gum was causing significant issues in public spaces and on public transportation. The law prohibits the import, sale, and manufacture of chewing gum. However, there are exceptions for therapeutic, dental, or nicotine chewing gum, which can be obtained from a doctor or registered pharmacist. Visitors to Singapore are allowed to bring a small amount of chewing gum for personal use, but it's generally advised to avoid it altogether to prevent any potential issues. Penalties for violating this law can be severe. First-time offenders can face fines of up to 1,000 Singapore dollars, approximately $750, and repeat offenders may face higher fines and even jail time. The effectiveness of this law has been debated. While it has undoubtedly contributed to Singapore's reputation for cleanliness, some argue that it's an excessive restriction on personal freedom. Despite these criticisms, the law remains in place, although it has been slightly relaxed over the years. Denmark's car starting law. The Danish law prohibiting starting a car while someone is underneath it might seem obvious, but it's actually part of a broader set of traffic safety regulations. This specific law is designed to prevent accidents in garages and during vehicle maintenance. While it's rare for someone to intentionally start a car with a person underneath, this law serves as a reminder of the potential dangers involved in vehicle maintenance. It also places legal responsibility on the driver to ensure no one is in a dangerous position before starting the vehicle. This law is part of Denmark's comprehensive approach to road safety, which has helped the country achieve one of the lowest rates of traffic-related deaths in the world. It's an example of how even seemingly obvious regulations can play a role in promoting safety and preventing accidents. Japan's Metabo law. Japan's so-called Metabo law isn't actually a direct law against being overweight, but rather a set of health guidelines aimed at reducing the prevalence of metabolic syndrome in the population. The term Metabo is short for metabolic syndrome, a cluster of conditions that increase the risk of heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. Implemented in 2008, these guidelines require companies and local governments to measure the waistlines of Japanese citizens between the ages of 40 and 74 as part of their annual health checkups. The waistline limits are 33.5 inches for men and 35.4 inches for women. Those exceeding these limits are given dietary advice and are required to undergo counseling. If they fail to reduce their waistlines after 3 months, they are given more intensive health guidance. While there are no personal penalties for failing to meet the waistline targets, companies and local governments can face fines if they don't meet specific targets for the participation and results of their employees or residents. This approach has been controversial, with critics arguing that it's overly simplistic and potentially stigmatizing. However, proponents argue that it's a necessary measure to address rising healthcare costs associated with lifestyle-related diseases. Switzerland's toilet flushing regulation. The Swiss law regarding toilet flushing after 10 p.m. is not a national law, but rather a common rule in many apartment buildings, especially in cities like Zurich. This regulation is part of Switzerland's strict noise control laws, which aim to maintain peace and quiet during nighttime hours. The rationale behind this rule is that in older buildings with less soundproofing, the noise from flushing toilets can be disruptive to neighbors, especially late at night. While it's not typically enforced by police, It's often included in apartment rental agreements and is generally respected as part of Swiss cultural norms regarding consideration for neighbors. This law is just one example of Switzerland's comprehensive approach to noise control. Other regulations limit when you can mow your lawn, do your laundry, or engage in other potentially noisy activities. These rules reflect the high value placed on peace and quiet in Swiss culture. Thailand's currency defacement law. In Thailand, it's illegal to step on any currency because Thai banknotes and coins bear the image of the king, and the Thai monarchy is deeply revered. This law is part of Thailand's lèse-majesté laws, which make it illegal to defame, insult, or threaten the king, queen, heir apparent, or regent. The law against stepping on currency is taken seriously in Thailand. Violators can face fines or even imprisonment. This regulation extends beyond just stepping on money. It's also considered disrespectful to use Thai currency in any way that could be seen as defaming the monarchy, such as folding it in certain ways or writing on it. Foreigners are expected to respect this law, and there have been cases of tourists facing legal trouble for inadvertently violating it. This regulation underscores the importance of cultural sensitivity and awareness when traveling, as actions that might seem innocuous in one's home country can be deeply offensive or even illegal in others. Canada's coin payment limit. Canada's Currency Act limits the number of coins that can be used in a single transaction. For any amount above 10 Canadian dollars, a person is not obligated to accept more than a certain number of coins of each denomination. $41 coins, loonies. $22 coins, toonies. 25 coins of 25 cents or less. This law was implemented to prevent the use of coins as a form of protest or inconvenience, such as paying large fines entirely in pennies. It also helps to ensure the efficient flow of commerce by preventing transactions from being slowed down by the counting of large numbers of coins. It's worth noting that while a merchant isn't legally required to accept large amounts of coins, they may choose to do so. Additionally, this law doesn't apply to payments made to financial institutions. Banks are required to accept any amount of coins for deposits or payments. England's Parliament Death Law. The often cited law making it illegal to die in the Houses of Parliament is actually a common misconception. This myth likely originated from the fact that anyone who dies in the Royal Palace of Westminster, which includes the Houses of Parliament, is technically eligible for a state funeral due to the building's status as a royal palace. However, there is no specific law prohibiting death in Parliament. If someone were to die there, it would be treated like any other death, with appropriate medical and legal procedures followed. This misconception highlights an interesting aspect of British law, the persistence of ancient statutes and customs that can sometimes lead to unusual legal situations. While many of these old laws have been officially repealed or superseded, some remain on the books, creating fascinating legal curiosities. Australia's Pink Pants Law. The law prohibiting wearing hot pink pants after midday on a Sunday in Australia is actually an urban myth. There is no such law in any Australian jurisdiction. This myth may have originated as a joke or satire on unusual laws, but it has been repeated often enough that some people believe it to be true. Australia does have some unusual laws, but they tend to be more practical in nature. For example, in Western Australia, it's illegal to possess more than 50 kilograms of potatoes unless you're a licensed potato seller. This law dates back to the Great Depression and was intended to regulate the potato market. The persistence of this myth highlights the importance of fact-checking and the ease with which misinformation can spread, especially when it comes to unusual or amusing facts about laws. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share and subscribe. That will help me a lot, thank you. Strange Steiner.